Hey friends, thanks for joining us today. We are going to be making a chopped chicken loaf with olive gravy. And if you love olives, you're going to find this very interesting. It's kind of funky. It's not something you've probably maybe ever had before. I don't know. But we love olives at our house and we love this dish. So go with us as we make this morning, and we're just going to reheat it for dinner tonight. So it just makes things a lot easier when you're tired at the end of the day to just have to pop something in the oven and heat it up. So go with us as we make something kind of funky, chopped chicken loaf with olive gravy. All right, we have our bowl right here, and the first thing we're going to do is take, let's see, this is 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs, and this is just some bread that I made the other day, and I toasted it a little bit just so it wouldn't be so mushy, but we're going to add hot milk and butter to it. I have 3/4 cup of milk and 2 tablespoons of butter in this pan, almost to the point where it's boiling. I'm going to pour this over the water. I'm going to pour it over the bread. It's not water. I'm going to pour it over the bread, and we're going to let that sit just for about 5 minutes until the bread gets really soft. All right, while we are finishing up letting our bread soften in that hot milk and butter, either with some softened butter or coconut oil, just plain coconut oil, we are going to butter our casserole dish. You can use a loaf pan. If you truly want it to look like a chicken loaf, you can use a loaf pan. I prefer using glass or ceramic dishes, but use what you have. This is a 1.5 quart just Corningware dish. Okay, secret to keeping your hands soft, rub that coconut oil in instead of washing it off. All right, we're going to set our pan aside. Our breadcrumbs are pretty soft. So to this, we are going to add 1 small onion that's been chopped. A large rib of celery that's been finely minced. Give that a stir. These have been in the refrigerator. I chopped these up probably 2 days ago along with the chicken, and I kept thinking, yeah, I'll make that today. Okay, I'll make that today. Okay, I'll make that today. And just the opportunity never presented, so here we are, Monday morning. We're going to make this for tonight. All right, to this we also need 2 teaspoons of parsley flakes. I'm not a huge fan of the taste of parsley, but I'll go along with what I wrote down in the recipe, so I don't want any little chunks of sticks in there, though. I guess parsley doesn't really have sticks, it has stems, so we'll call it a stem. I just don't like the overuse of parsley. I don't mind the taste of parsley, I don't like the overuse of parsley. Okay, let's see, 1 teaspoon of salt. 1/8 of a teaspoon of just fresh ground black pepper. I ground this the other day and keep that in this little container. And My recipe calls for 2 eggs, but I'm going to show you what my egg looks like, and you be the judge of it. And I'll tell you what my decision was as to whether or not I actually need 2 eggs. This is my egg. It's huge. Normal eggs are about half this size. That is a giant egg. That looks more like a duck egg, but it's really not a duck egg. My friend has chickens. She doesn't have ducks, but I'm just thinking, poor chicken. Oh, my stars. Woo. So my decision is I'm going to use 1 of these, but the recipe calls for 2 eggs, so 2 regular eggs or 1 giant egg. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a double yolker, but nope, just single. Wow, that's a lot of egg. This measured out to 1/3 of a cup. 1/3 of a cup for an egg. Oh my, absurd. All right, add this egg to the mix. That's going to be a binder along with the bread in there. It's going to serve as a good binder. Give that a good stir, make sure it's all mixed up real well. And then we're going to add 2 cups of chopped chicken. Now this was boneless, skinless chicken thighs that I just cooked real low and slow in a slow cooker for several hours. And chopped it up the other day, covered it up and stuck it in the fridge. Everybody that I know of likes meatloaf, but when you say meatloaf, automatically you think beef with your sweet red sauce on the top of it, and that's great. I mean, we all love meatloaf, but this is a different spin on a loaf. So, again, if you're a fan of olives and that salty brine flavor and stuff, this is really, really nice. All right, just mixing that around. And then we're going to pour it directly into our pan. Like I said, I'm making this morning. It's before 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm making it this morning, and then all I have to do is come in this afternoon and reheat this for dinner along with the sides. So that makes it a lot easier in the afternoon when most of my energy is already gone for the day. Okay, we're just going to pour this directly into this casserole dish. Getting every little speck of it out of the bowl that we can. Spreading it around. That's my way of leveling it out. Okay, we're going to pop this in the oven at 375, and we're going to cook it for about 45 minutes. Okay, we'll be back in just a bit. We'll make our gravy to put on the top. You know what? I got so excited about putting it in the oven, I wound up forgetting what I was supposed to do. Okay, that's not too hot yet. We're supposed to put this in another dish that has water in it, so it'll provide steam on the outside. I set this right here beside the stove so I wouldn't forget, And then what'd I do? I forgot. Okay, now we're doing that. So this is what it looks like. Just a pan with water in it. So it's basically a water bath. Reset the timer for 45 minutes. Now we're really cooking it. All right, we're going to make our gravy here. Just regular size saucepan. I have my burner turned on medium. We're going to put 1/4 of a cup of butter in here, which is 4 tablespoons. To that, we are adding a small onion that I just chopped up in my handy dandy chopper here. Thank goodness there's a lid on it because, whoo, that onion was strong. We're going to saute this onion just a little bit until it is transparent. Okay, our onion is starting to get transparent. It really doesn't take that long, but when I'm standing here looking at it, and I have the cameras on and I'm waiting on it. It seems like it takes forever. Kind of like watching the grass grow or waiting for water to come to a simmer, I guess. All right, to this we're going to add 2 more teaspoons of dried parsley flakes. We're also going to add a tablespoon of just plain flour. That will provide the thickening for it. Instead of just being a runny sauce, it'll actually be a gravy. Keep cooking and stirring that so it'll get that flour taste out of it. Not that flour tastes bad, but you don't want it to taste like flour. You want it to be a cooked taste. You don't want the raw flour taste, I should say. By the way, I made a note in the recipe in my cookbook that I wrote. It says it makes 6 generous servings. So, just so you know. Sometimes you make things and you think, okay, I have 5 people coming to dinner, or I have 2 people coming for dinner. Is this enough for them? I don't know because I've never made it before, and you just kind of guess at it. But the note that I made in there, which I try to do a lot of times, particularly on things that are kind of unusual like this, is to write down how many servings it provides, just because I certainly don't want to be short on servings. I'd rather make way too much than not enough, because I can always share the leftovers. We'll eat the leftovers, but you can't eat something that's not there, and I don't ever want somebody to go without, especially when they're coming to my house to eat. That's a big no-no. All right, to this we're going to add a cup of chicken broth. This is actually the broth from the chicken thighs that I cooked to make the chopped portion of this. Keep cooking this on medium-high temperature, and it's going to thicken up in just a bit. All right, to this we're going to add about 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. Not a lot, because I actually salted the water when I was cooking the chicken, and I don't want it to be over-salted. You can always add more to it later if you need to, but you can't take it out. But I don't use salted butter, so that's probably evening things out right there. If you use salted butter, just know that you can always add more salt to it later. Okay, about 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. We're going to grate a little bit of nutmeg. If you don't have one of these are so super handy. This is called a rasp. A lot of these have a handle on them. I don't have a fancy one like this. I've had this so long. This is called a microplane zester or a rasp. And this is what a fresh nutmeg looks like. If you're just using dried nutmeg, that's fine, but just know that if you can get your hands on a fresh nutmeg like this or a dried nutmeg whole like this, it is the flavor is just not even really compared to anything else as far as a dried spice. All right, you don't want a lot of nutmeg, just a tiny bit. Don't want to grate your fingernails in this either. I might have done that a time or two. Okay, so this is what it looks like when you grate it. Just kind of shaves the edge off of it. Makes it shiny. And this is super easy to clean, and then just store it back in its little sleeve. All right, while this is cooking and thickening, we're going to chop up some green olives. Now, these are the olives that I use, but these are the larger size olives. Normally, if you have just a regular cocktail olive with the pimento inside, you're going to use anywhere from 10 to 12 of these. I have 8 of these out, and I think that would be about equal to 10 or 12 of the smaller ones. I don't even know if you can see these because of that light. So I apologize again for the lighting. Anytime I come over to the stovetop, I feel like just continually apologizing because I want you to see it as well as I can see it. And when I'm aware that you can't see it, it really frustrates me because it's not near as inviting. And if you're like me, you're probably going, what are you doing over there? What does it look like? I can't see. Move the camera. And I'm such a poor videographer. At best, I am poor. But I do care about you seeing it, and I care about you knowing what I'm doing. It's just, I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix this light over here. Okay, so this is basically what our olives look like now that they're chopped up. Just rough chop, not teeny tiny, but if you want them small, that's totally fine. The flavor's still going to be there. All right, this is starting to thicken, but of course, because I'm watching it, it won't thicken as fast as I want it to. Now, it's not going to get super thick like a pudding. It's just going to be a little bit thicker than water. And when we're done with this, you can take this olive gravy and pour it over your chicken loaf. But you also have the option of just serving this alongside with a ladle at the table. Just make sure it's nice and warm and serve your chicken loaf in slices or pieces, and then just let individuals put as much olive gravy on it as they want. And that may be how I do it, because you just never know. Some people may not want the olive gravy on it. I can't imagine that, but it's so good. But that chicken loaf does smell really, really good cooking in the oven. Again, smell-o-vision would be a great invention at this point. Not always, but when you're cooking, that would be helpful. The recipe for this will be in the description of the video, like it is in all our videos that a recipe would be helpful to those watching. If it's not a food item, chances are it will not have a recipe to it. Okay, this will likely thicken up when it cools off anyway. We're going to go ahead and put our olives in there. And that's what our gravy looks like. Turn the burner off. This is going to cool down. We'll take our chicken loaf out of the oven, let it cool down. And again, we'll heat it up for dinner tonight. And then I'll let you see what the final product looks like. But for now, this is our olive gravy. Chunks of onions and olives in it. And it smells really, really good.